Hello there, everybody. A very good morning. In addition to helping Raj to save some money, Tibber is also helping folks to talk about the currency crisis. Tibber is helping folks to just get employees on board quickly. And yes, in a few months, it will be Tibber's second birthday. 2 years, it's just been phenomenal. The enthusiasm from our customers and users has just been overwhelming. A big shout out to all those users who put these pictures out on Instagram, whether it's Mumbai, Zurich, or New York, and all those places in between. On any given day now, Tibber is accessed by users in over 100 countries. And this is a product that did not exist 18 months ago. Yesterday, I just checked, and I saw a customer onboarding employees in Zimbabwe. Last week, we had an exciting new customer onboarding folks off a drilling rig in Borneo. It's a phenomenal, amazing breadth of usage. And what do these people do? They're posting. They're uploading files. They're liking. And what does all this activity mean, ladies and gentlemen? All, most importantly, on a smartphone. Over half of Tibber users log in Monday morning or any morning before 9 o'clock, overwhelmingly on a smartphone. What this means is work is simply getting done faster. Or as a customer told me yesterday, I get to go home a little faster these days. Work getting done faster means different things to different people. For a large professional services firm who onboard a lot of employees every month, now employee onboarding is a matter of 3 weeks. No more benefits meetings, no more new employee mixers, waiting to get everybody involved. It's all a matter of few posts, and people know where to get what and get productive very, very quickly. For a health network, and this seems like an unlikely area of collaboration, the whole idea of faxing patient referrals all day has now moved to real time on a doctor's wall. Think about work getting done faster. Or let's take another example. For a financial services firm who helps to service wholesale banking clients, trying to find an expert for debt restructuring or currency is not 3 weeks of email aliases and trying to find somebody in a different office in a different country. It's a matter of a few posts. And that's what our customers say when they say work gets done faster. So a lot of people ask me, it's not just putting in the technology in place. What does it take to build a successful, private, secure social network? And my answer is, it's a little bit of something and everything. Let me explain what I mean. On one side, you have users who are used to consumer networks, and they want you to support everything. Platform support is not about the OS anymore. Users want support for every device, every browser, every way they access the network to be supported, ubiquitous access. They also want to follow everything. It's not just about people. It's about files. It's about business processes. It's about machines and all those applications. Because 60% of enterprise information still sits in an application somewhere in your data center. And if you want to get work done, you need deep integration to that. And as you will agree, there is no better company on the planet to do that than TIBCO. And then you have corporate IT. They want to control some things. They have to control some things. They're responsible for security, for keeping the trains running on time, entitlement, who gets to see what, when, how. All these things are important in the enterprise. More importantly, scale. Hundreds of thousands of employees in 9, 10, 12 different time zones. And scale is something we understand. TIBCO moves more information on our software a day than Twitter moves in a month. We truly understand scale. And last but not the least is choice. The ability to use the cloud if your business model demands it, or the ability to deploy it securely behind your firewall. All this, the right mix of something and everything, put together in a simple, crisp, easy-to-use interface. That's what we delivered with Tibber. So we haven't missed one thing, if you're thinking about it: locations. In the consumer world, we think about location as check-in. You check into Starbucks, friends know about it, and that's the consumer version of check-in. But in the enterprise, a location can be a pallet in a warehouse, can be a soup can on a grocery shelf. And those locations have stories to tell. So we reimagined what it means. What does location mean in an enterprise? And we said, what if the location checks into you? And we announced and launched Tibber Geo earlier this year. Run the video, please.
Wherever you work, you need access to contextual information. What if instead of checking into a location, the location checks into you? As a gate agent approaches the gate she's going to staff, she can receive updates relevant to that gate as well as other gates around her on her mobile device, allowing her to discover information relative to her location and serve her customers better. On a factory floor, a call operator can easily locate a machine failure by simply viewing the floor through the screen on his mobile device to keep production going, discovering critical information in real time to help him make quicker decisions and avoid delays in production. With Tibber Geo, physical locations are transformed into living, breathing hubs of information that tell a story relevant to you. A nurse can receive critical updates about their patient by simply walking past their room, allowing her to provide better care to those who need it when they need it. Physical places have lots of stories to tell.
Tibber Geo is the first enterprise social platform to bring these stories to life
by turning physical places into data hubs that stream important insights relevant to that specific location to you.
Thank you. Tibber Geo, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot of customers very excited, and that's the time to tell you some stories. I'm very, very proud to have some great customers with us today. Schneider Electric.
With Schneider Electric's energy-efficient solutions, you can treat more water per watt. You can drive more kilometers for the money. You can mine more megatons per megawatt. You can serve more terabytes per terawatt.
And with a touch of a finger, you can relax more efficiently too.
Thank you. Schneider Electric, ladies and gentlemen, 22 billion in revenues in 2001 and employees in 130 countries. The CIO of Schneider Electric, Hervé Covel.
Hi, Ram. How are you?
Glad to be here, Hervé. So tell us a little bit about Schneider.
Sure. Well, you said it all, I think. Schneider Electric is a pretty large company. So 130,000 employees. We are above 22 billion euro of sales. I think what kind of distinguishes us is two things. First, we're an old company. I mean, we started more than 175 years ago. So, I mean, we have to reinvent ourselves several times. And we're also very global. We operate in, almost 100 countries, so in a lot of different places.
Awesome.
And we like to coin ourselves as being the specialist of energy management, as you just saw.
So with such a diversified portfolio, all these things going on, I'm sure, your plate's full. So what made you looking at all these initiatives to deploy a social network now?
Sure. Well, as I mentioned, we reinvent ourselves. We're in the middle of a significant transformation. I mean, we want to be great at developing products, but we want to be great also at providing solutions to our end users. We want to be great in mature economies, but also very good in emerging economies. We want to have our own distinctive model, which enables us to be scalable. So that's a lot to do. I mean, we have multiple dimensions, but nothing is going to really work if we're not able to connect all our employees, to connect all our people together. So that really made the people component, what we call the connect people component of our transformation, really, really core to what we want to do. It's a huge enabler for us.
So I know you were playing around with a lot of other platforms last year. And so what made you choose the tool? What were you looking for?
So maybe before I get into your question, I might step back a little and tell you a little bit about IT in Schneider Electric. We basically like to picture it around 3 layers. There's the layer of the ERPs. We have a lot of them because we're pretty acquisitive, a lot of M&A over the past years, etc. What we try to do here is make diversity efficient. We try to build a federation of people. We try to replace only when necessary. So that we redirect resources to the second layer, which we call the differentiation layer. This is really where we try to implement distinctive capabilities, transversal capabilities that make a difference for us, whether front office, R&D, etc. And then we're working on the third layer. The third layer is what our end users see, what our employees see. We try to help them becoming more efficient. We try to help them work smarter, as we like to say. We really try to enable their efficiency. So that third layer, what's really the employee-facing layer, is more and more critical in our strategy. So we do want basically to remove complexity from them. As you can imagine, I mean, with acquisitions, etc., you have multiples of systems in the back end, federations, differentiating systems, etc. But when it comes to an end user, when it comes to one of our employees, we want to abstract that complexity away from them. So we want them to have one places where they can connect between employees, but where also they can access their application, access their workflows, etc. And we want that to be available throughout the company and at a later point, even the ecosystem. But it was really critical for us, that element of removing complexity in a complex company, complex landscape, multiple types of data, etc. So that was really what we were looking for. The ability to give the right information to the people, the right time, the right context, but and really in order to enable their efficiency.
So a lot of people talk about, that deploying an, employee social network sometimes, takes more time because engagement, people are doing their stuff and, they want to engage on a new tool. So what is the key for you at Schneider with so many countries, so many employees? What's the key for you for employee engagement?
Actually, it's a real tricky question because, I mean, as I like to say, having social tools, not that complicated. Having social people, that's a different story. So what we're trying, really we try to deploy that not as an IT project, but as a much bigger transformation. So we worked on our company culture, we work very hand in hand with our human resources department, with the people leading the transformation in the company, with internal comm, and we try to make it part of really a bigger story.
So that's great.
What's the future deal?
Awesome. So what you're saying is you're not deploying this as a technology IT project. You're really making it inclusive. You're bringing different parts of the organization.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
That's a very big deal for us. Even though, of course, you have a huge IT component in the back end, security, whatever. And if you don't want it to be just something that enables people to talk between them, but also, accessing applications, maybe tomorrow devices, etc. There's a lot of IT, but we really want, the IT component to be a little bit behind the scenes and really say this is about our efficiency. How do we enable the efficiency of our people within the corporation?
Great. So you're rolling this out, and the way I think of her way about Schneider is almost like a small country, right? I mean, you have so many employees. Where do you think this is going to go a year or two from now? How do you see this moving forward?
Well, we have a lot of work to do because, as I said, the long-term, picture for us is really to make this kind of an integration point where all the complexity of a company will basically gather and be presented in a simple way to our employees. So, we have, of course, a lot of connection points to work on, a lot of integration to put together. That's going to be a lot of work. And then, of course, we want to extend it progressively, more applications, more entities in our ecosystem, devices maybe at some point. And I think, at some point, this is going to be a huge amount of big data for us to start mining too. So that's going to be pretty interesting, I'm sure.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Hervé. We're very
You're
proud
welcome.
of our implementation
Thank
at
you.
Schneider Electric. Thank
Thanks
you
a
very
lot.
much. I'm very, very happy to announce a different customer here today from a completely different area. Interport Police is an organization that is responsible for information sharing across 200 law enforcement, seaport police, and transportation security agencies all across the world. It's especially after 9/11, there's been an unprecedented effort to focus on border security, what gets into our ports, how. And there's been a key person leading that effort. And we're very, very happy and privileged to have him here today, the Secretary General of Interport Police, Jay Grant.
Thanks, Ram.
Thanks for coming, Jay.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So, Jay, you mentioned to me while we were talking backstage that Interport Police is all about information sharing. Why did you think about a private social network to do that?
Well, what we're looking for is, so we were started in 1969. It was basically started by Canada, the Netherlands, United States, to actually starting to get our command officers to meet each other, to know each other. Literally as simple as networking. Obviously, between shipping and airlines, we had all this supply chain moving back and forth, but they didn't know each other. And today, certainly after 9/11, it's evolving about how do we share with each other. Now, in the United States, in particular, our law enforcement at airports and seaports are governments, but they're not part of the federal government. So we not only interact with the federal government, but obviously we work locally. And we work obviously very internationally. So our whole idea was about 5 years ago, we started testing using databases of how do we start sharing and getting information from our national governments down to our police departments. And then how do we, and the harder part has been getting it down to the officers where it makes a difference. So over the years, we've been looking at different ways of coming up with ways of sharing. And obviously, we are talking about international borders. We are talking about governments. And we're an interagency government organization serving those governments. So we wanted something that was easy, flexible. As you might guess, it's become harder because everybody's on a different platform. So what we started to do is, over the last 5 years, we pretty much learned what we needed. And then we started to go out and try to find a platform that would implement all the things that we wanted.
So you said now for law enforcement, mobile is the killer functionality. So what do you mean by that?
Well, it is. As you might guess, most of our people don't sit at a desk. Our guys are walking around airports. I just came back from Hamburg, Germany last week, working with the Waterways Police. They happen to be the oldest seaport police in the world, but they have 300 kilometers of jurisdiction. And so they have 525 officers. And of course, they're just one element of the law enforcement. So they're not at the desk. So they're walking around. And so you need two things. Obviously, you need to make it very simple, and you need to put a lot of information in front of them. And not only are you working on information routinely, maybe it's a border crossing, maybe they're just looking at ship papers, but obviously when there's an incident and you want to start getting information quickly, as your company says, in 2 seconds. Those 2 seconds make a lot of difference. And we've had some absolute great things, countries. Netherlands, for example, they're going and actually taking ship papers, putting them in documents, translating them in different languages, and having that available so the next time someone boards, not only in the Netherlands, but any other country, and they can pull that up.
Awesome. So you mentioned that irritation about, staying ahead of CNN, So tell us more about that.
Well, it's been kind of the running joke since 9/11 is, who's going to have the information first, CNN or our people internally? And so often CNN will beat us, but that in the beginning was what the information. So we're watching CNN to respond to an incident. And so we think that we're better than that. So what we're looking for is trusted information that we can rely on. If you go back and if you look at the Yemen incident a couple of years ago, or the Norway incident that happened last year. So when all this information was coming, we're seeing tweeters, we're watching CNN, and then all of a sudden, though, we have to start making decisions, and these chiefs of police and commanders at airports and seaports, and they don't want to make it on a newscast. So what we're looking for, and we're looking for in this platform, is so that we're actually directly sharing with people on the ground that are seeing it and knowing the exact information, and then pushing it out so that other departments can make decisions.
Great. So you also mentioned that now you're expanding to include, like you was talking about, Carnival Lines, the head of security. So you are bringing folks who are kind of more, in your kind of terms, more private into this kind of law enforcement network, right?
Well, I think what we've all learned in security, and certainly in law enforcement, we were very good. Some are extremely good at keeping information and never sharing it. But it doesn't do much good if only I have the information. So, and another reason for going to this type of platform is so we're looking at a role-based system where we can bring in facility security officers, vessel security officers from different organizations, maybe shipping tenants, certainly the airline security,
right.
And bring the people together. And it's role-based, so you obviously get what you need to get, but you can put all the pieces together and put all the people in the same pot, you might say. The other thing is, when we do have an incident, we are in a position of immediately starting sharing whatever critical information we need to share with that group of people at that particular time, and still keep everybody else informed.
Great. Thank you so much. We're very proud of doing this.
Thank you very much.
Keeping our borders safe. Jay Grant, ladies and gentlemen. So those are two great customers. And today, I'm very, very happy to announce Tibber 4. The 4th generation of Tibber in 18 months. We're innovating at light speed, bringing newer and newer things as we hear more from our customers. You heard from Jay, you heard from Schneider, things that they're doing, far complexity, making it simple, bringing it all, as I said earlier, into that simple, crisp, easy to use interface. So as we take Tibber to the next level, and as all of the users start interacting, they like, they comment, there's this aggregation of affinity. Tibber 4 is all about you. You, the user. We are at a seminal point here in social computing where the user has now become part of the enterprise data stream. So let me take a consumer example and try to explain. So here we are. There's Matt Quinn, who you've seen on stage, Raj, myself, and Danny Netto, who runs our professional services group. And we all follow each other. We're friends. But Matt and I are fans of Stephen Colbert. Well, I know Raj loves Pink Floyd, and so do I. And now Danny and I really like the Bourne movies. And so this is that complex mix of connectivity, affinity, and interaction. And the interaction is, next time Raj listens to Pink Floyd, it shows up on my wall. And this is called the social graph. But the enterprise is a little different. And in the consumer world, you follow friends. But in the enterprise, you report to X. You're part of an organization, marketing. You're part of an office location or a division. And that colors and influences how you interact, who you interact with. In the consumer world, you listen to music. Simple. But in the enterprise world, you listen for changes in a PO. You look for updates in a pricing document. It's different. In the consumer world, you post a message. In the enterprise world, you act on a post because you're getting work done. And so that's why the interactions might seem similar, or they're a little different. And so the enterprise social graph is a mix that's much richer. It includes people, departments, files, applications, subjects, all of these in that complex mix of affinity, connectivity, in getting work done. And that's an example. That's my graph from work. There's a whole bunch of things I interact with, people I interact with, based on what I'm doing. So the big question to make your social network productive is, how do you take advantage of this graph? How do you take advantage of this graph and discover things and make sure work gets done faster? So for you, the user, we're announcing some great new features. And the first one is the social profile. Now, most of us are used to using LinkedIn, and most of us are identified currently in the enterprise by name, department, phone number, no more fax numbers, but at least an email. And that's how you look like in your enterprise system or in your records of the enterprise system. What about who you are, what you do, how you do it? So what we're doing here is now bringing all this together. What the enterprise knows about you and what you want to present yourself to your employees and coworkers. The second thing is peer influence index. What do you interact on? Because the 21st century employee, all of us here, think way beyond the performance appraisal. We are measured ourselves sometimes on our influence, on our ability to engage and influence key decisions, network impact, amplification of key strategic decisions of the company. And what we've done is we've created a scoring matrix to bring that together. And last but not the least is this concept of insight. And Tibber Insight really brings all that TIBCO has learned, real-time data, analytics, all together to bring social analytics to the next level. So rather than talk more, let me just show you what I mean. And I'm going to have Sriram Chakravarti, our VP of Engineering, to come on stage and just show you Tibber 4. We call him the man who never sleeps.
Hi.
Welcome, Sriram.
Hello, everybody. Thank you.
So let's light it up.
All right, there you go.
There you go. So for some of you who are familiar with Tibber, you do see a different theme. We've taken all the feedback, we've made it more easier, extraordinarily easy to use. And it's very much like, Facebook or Twitter. It's real time, but it's private and it's secure. So let's scroll down. This is my wall. You see things from folks. You'll see a Spotify report out there. You see stuff going on. You see other system updates, expenses. I kind of forgot about that. I need to actually, approve that. All available for you right there. I do notice something here. If this gets overwhelming, we also have filters. But interesting filters. Filters in the context of work. So you can put those filters in if it gets too overwhelming so that you can make sure at this point in time, these are the things I want to hear or listen or post on my wall. And I also see something here interesting as I look through this. There's an opportunity there. Try Win. It's a customer in the Dallas area, and there's been a lot going on. Let's go take a look. And see, this is the beautiful thing about Tibber. What you see here, look at the owners, ladies and gentlemen. So you have Hazel from sales, you have Andrea from alliances, you have John from marketing, Jan Plutzer from sales, all of us working together on this opportunity. You're seeing the conversations, the strategy, the tactics, the documents. No CRM system can do this for you. No CRM system. The anatomy of a sales cycle in a single pane of glass. That's the beauty of Tibber. And so I see Andrea here. He's a relatively new employee. I haven't met him personally, but I see him contributing. So let's go take a look at who Andrea is. And here you have it, Andrea's social profile. So Sriram, give us a little bit more about this.
Sure. So for the first time, we have taken what the enterprise knows about you, the employee, about Andrea, and taken what Andrea wants to say about himself to his coworkers, and put it all together in this neat social profile. So what you see here, right around underneath about, you see Andrea as shown in the HR system, where he works, his phone number, his resume. In the middle is a representation, a version of Andrea that he wants to talk about with his colleagues. This is a version of himself, what he's doing at work, his expertise, including some of his presentations. He could also have a slide share presentation shown here for his colleagues to know more about him. You can also give a window into his LinkedIn profile so you can know more about who Andrea is. Last but not least, you have the org chart, so you can know who he reports to, because that's important in an enterprise.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Next time I talk to Andrea, I'm simply better informed. I'm just simply better informed. So let's show you the influence index. And this is kind of a clout for the enterprise, but meaningful, because it's important to see what Andrea influences. So an influencer score needs to be in the context of work, not in the terms of volumes of, shall we say, tweets you did. No, in the context of work. And what you see here is Andrea's influence score. And what does he influence? Tibber sales, he's contributing, and a lot of people like what he says. So obviously he has something meaningful to contribute. Try-win, the opportunity we looked at, and he's also contributing to the big ideas subject. So you do get a view, once again, in the context of work, and that is very, very important. The other great feature we wanted to show you is Tibber Insights. And ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot of heavy lifting going on here behind the scenes. And I'll let Sriram explain to you what Tibber Insights is.
So with Insights, what we wanted to do was give something that was very simple, beautiful, and actually something that's very, very powerful. So what we have done here is we have leveraged a lot of our investments in big data, in real-time analytics, social discovery, all bring that together so that we can analyze what is going on in Ram's network and give him just the tidbits of information that he's looking for. So if you look at this, there's some really cool things here. So here is Billy. He works for the social collaboration team. He's working on a client project in Europe. And right here, I can see that he's got 23 posts that he's posted today. And we have Murat here. He's added 40 more followers to his ever-growing list of followers. So these are things that are relevant to Ram that you can see right here. Here's another interesting nugget. Ram has got 3 requests waiting for approval. Click on it. You can look at what is waiting for him to approve right here and take action on it. So these are not just pretty pictures. These are actionable insights. You can drill down, get down to the actual subject, get down to the actual message, and take action on any of these things. We also have another nugget of information here, the 3 polls. The interesting thing here is not the fact that there are 3 polls, but there were connections in Ram's network who actually acted on these 3 polls. So right here, you can click on it and go and see who are these people who voted on these polls. And we had an insurance program that we started off, and different people in the company are voting on it. So you can get a pulse of what's going on with these connections. So what we have done here is we have really plumbed the enterprise social graph and pulling all the pieces and bits of information that's going to be relevant for you, the user, and showing it to you in full color.
Great. Thank you, Sriram. And this gives you an example, the expression of the applications of the enterprise social graph is almost unlimited. And the thing we've done here is, put it together in an interface that you really want to click now. You want to see what's going on. All the heavy lifting is happening, the pattern recognition, the analytics, real time. Every time you log in, something's new has happened. Because the power of a social network is the time lapse on the data, right? And you see it on your wall, but now you see those little tidbits that you can discover. Very, very powerful over here. You good? Okay, and the next thing is you, the developer. We talked about you, the user. And as I said, Tibber 4 is all about you, the folks who use it, the folks who work with it. And so I'm very pleased to announce the Social Graph API, a very rich tool set. We talked about this. The enterprise social graph is very rich, very different. And a tool set that now allows all these parts of the social graph to be represented in a uniformly consistent manner, these social objects. That's an example of how the social objects about me gets represented, right? And now you can very quickly write very cool applications. Cool applitions by developers inside your company, as well as partners, third-party folks. Very, very easy with this very extensive, rich API tool set. Now, when you start writing apps, you got to have a marketplace. You got to have a place where you can organize, discover, manage, and curate these apps. And I'm very, very pleased to show you Tibber's new app marketplace. So let's take a look. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. And there's some very interesting things we've done here, keeping in mind it's an enterprise marketplace. Sriram, tell us a little bit more.
Sure. So what we have done here is the Tibber app marketplace. When we started off on the marketplace, there were essentially three things that we wanted to do. The first is for the end user. We wanted to provide a choice, flexibility for the end users so that they can go in and turn on these apps and add these additional functionality as a part of their stream. The second thing that we wanted to do was for corporate IT, so they can have control. So you can curate, you can provision, and control the apps that the end users actually use within the enterprise. The third is for our partners, for our third-party developers. What we have given them is this rich enterprise social graph API that you can really build some very cool applications that are extensions of the platform. So let's take an example. Here, one thing to notice here is we have cleanly separated out the company apps from the marketplace apps. The company apps are the apps that have been approved for use by your organization. Here you have, for example, an Oracle expense application. So you can come in here, look at what this app is, get more information about the app, who else is using this application, what have they done with this application, right here in one place. And this is really where the power of TIBCO's integration technology comes into play, where now what you can do is, with a single click of a button, you can say, I want to add my expense stream right into my wall. And immediately, everything that's relevant to you, all of Ram's expenses are neatly categorized as his approvals and his action items right on his wall. That's the power of the API, the social graph API that we are providing. Now, let's also take a quick look at our marketplace app. So marketplace is where we have our partners, third-party developers, building apps. So this is really a repository of applications. And again, the end users can come in, look at any of these applications, and quickly turn them on and use it as a part of their work stream.
Great, awesome, thank you. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, cleanly separated, the power of TIBCO integration giving you a seamless user experience. The power of the API provided helps you to create really a very contextual experience. The Tibber Apps Marketplace. And we're very, very happy that the social graph API has been in beta for a month. And it's been wonderful to get some partners who've just been wonderful in just building it really, really fast and on board. And we have a host of new partners we're announcing today. And the first one I'd like to call on stage is Box, Chief Operating Officer of Box, Dan Levine.
Thank you very much, Ram. Delighted to be here. Oh, I get to drive my own
You
slides?
get to drive your own thing.
Outstanding. We are truly delighted to be here today to participate in the announcement of the applications marketplace for Tibber. For those few of you who have escaped the marketing machine at Box, we are a secure, scalable content sharing platform for the enterprise. Box is typically used in large organizations to enable internal collaboration, perhaps the deployment of content to a worldwide sales force, to enable the access of content on mobile devices, particularly tablets, iPads, and Android tablets, and to enable external collaboration as we move into an increasingly partner-oriented, customer-oriented world where we need to be able to easily share and collaborate around content with colleagues who are not employed by the same company. We've got about 11 million users around the world. The reason most of you probably already know who we are is that 92% of the Fortune 500 are already using Box, including nationwide Procter & Gamble, who's rolling out something like 20,000 seats, The Gap, and AAA. We're really excited about the integration that's been put in place through the apps marketplace with Tibber. It's a completely in-context integration within the Tibber user interface. Users can add the Box application and get immediate access to all of their Box content. There's no need to log in again. There's no separate user interface. It's a completely seamless integration with Tibber. Users gain access to all of their Box content, and perhaps more importantly, access to all of the contextual information related to that content within Tibber, the comments. You can star content for your own future use purposes if you want to make sure to go back and read something. And you can also share content from within Tibber in a completely seamless way. It's very easy, just a couple of clicks, no manual to read, no training to go through. And when you share this content with a Tibber subject, for example, it immediately appears in the stream and on the wall of the users who are subscribed to that subject, and they get access to it in a completely integrated way. So really delighted about this integration, very exciting stuff, a big step forward for us to be associated with and involved with such a world-class organization as TIBCO. We look forward to continuing to improve on this integration going forward.
Thank you very much, Dan. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Levine. So this is one of our key partners here. We understand best-in-class social with best-in-class files, ladies and gentlemen. And yesterday, you probably saw Scott McNeely. He's a man who has a lot of opinions. So there you go. He started a company that helps to capture those opinions. Very pleased to welcome the CEO of Weigh-In, Tom Jessiman.
Thanks, Ram. Welcome. Thank you. So as Ram said, Scott has a few opinions. I have opinions. All of us have opinions. You put all that together, you have a conversation. And that's essentially what Weigh-In is. And there's two kinds of conversations you can have. One like this, where I'm talking out to you. It's really a broadcast. I can't really see what in the back of the room, but I see some people texting. I see some people talking. I see a lot of people very focused. But it's really a one-way broadcast. And that's traditionally how CEOs and senior management have talked to their employees through polls and surveys. Very one-dimensional, one-way conversation. And what I'd like to show you today is the other kind of conversation. It's a very two-way conversation. So this is Weigh-In. This is our consumer service. This is fun. So very high engagement, about 10 times higher the engagement than those traditional surveys and polls. Lots of different variety in terms of the questions themselves. We use multimedia, so video, audio, there's gamification, rankings, badging, lots of different tricks we use to stimulate people to get involved and converse. And we do all that externally for companies in Twitter and Facebook on the digital marketing side to drive ROI, to help companies sell cars. And then we do it also internally when we call on HR departments to really have a pulse of real-time sentiment gathering service for companies. So we're extremely excited about being included as one of the handful of apps in the rollout of the social marketplace. As you can see, and come see us at our booth, we're across the hall, we have a starter kit of questions for you. So this is all built onto the API, as Ram said, of the service in Tibber 4. And we have questions whether you're for your HR department or sales or whatever it is, we get you started. But the other piece here is that the enablement is seamless. So it's just one click. There's no second sign-on, no user ID, no password, nothing like that. It's click and away you go. And the third piece that's very important is that the analytics, you'll see the analytics behind all this, so that now if you ask a question like, you know, was 70%, you get an answer that 70% of your company is happy with a vacation policy, you don't know what to make of that. So what we'll be providing is also, in working with Tibber and TibGo, a service behind all that that lets you know that, hey, that's not very good for your industry or the norms in your category or your country or whatever it is. So a very deep dive into sentiment gathering, a deep dive into helping companies perform better and run better. We think we make Tibber better, and Tibber definitely makes us better. And finally, here's the wall. So as Ram was saying, we understand the social graph. It's been around for a while. But that's how the discovery is going to happen. So you can find us in the app marketplace, but that's not what's really going to happen. What is going to happen is that Vivek is going to say, how was TJ's speech? Ram's going to say, I think he bombed. Vivek says, I think we should cut him just if he was on the Warriors, we'd cut him today. I see that, I go off, I get involved. Barry, who you'll meet later, he gets involved. Before you know it, hundreds, thousands of people, we know how this works, right? So that's how the discovery, that's what drives the engagement. And that's so far and above the traditional surveys and polling, the SAT questions that get sent out. What does that mean? It means you have better information, a better dialogue with your customers, with your employees, you run better businesses. So thank you, Ram, thank you, Vivek, and we'll see you across the hall. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Best-in-class sentiment analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, weigh in. Have another exciting new partner I want to bring on stage, Badgeville, a name synonymous with gamification. Founder and CEO of Badgeville, Chris Duggan.
Thank you, Ram. So Badgeville is the gamification company. And what does that mean? It means that we help our clients measure and influence user behavior using a variety of techniques that are highly effective at engaging those users. And this is all about user engagement, regardless of whether we're talking about customers, partners, developers, your communities. Even your employees can benefit by engaging with you more deeply. And the techniques that we use are a variety of modern techniques. You've probably experienced them yourselves in terms of game mechanics, reputation systems, social mechanics, things that make software fun and extremely engaging. And how we're working with Tibber is we're adding this gamification layer to the Tibber experience to drive your employees' engagement. And so when people have conversations on Tibber, when they share or post or comment, they can now be rewarded by achievements, points and levels and reputation that they can then share with the entire company. And not only does this allow the user to be that much more motivated and incentivized to engage with you, but it also allows them to create a history of all of the expertise that they've accumulated inside the company and engage with other people inside the organization that they might not have otherwise known. So we're extremely excited to be providing this capability to Tibber. We look forward to working with you to add this engagement capability for your enterprises, and thank you very much, Ron, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, best-in-class gamification, best-in-class documents, best-in-class sentiment analysis, best-in-class gamification. Very excited with the marketplace and the support and the sheer excitement of all these partners who've come on board in such a short time. Houdini, Bright Ideas, and all of them are here, ladies and gentlemen. So there is a place in the Solutions Showcase. Come and see Tibber and how seamlessly we've brought all these things. The power of bringing the sum of the whole is very, very cool. Thank you very, very much. And Tibber 4 ships. This is real, no idle chatter, no pun intended there, but this ships this quarter. In a few weeks, this will be shipping. So please come and visit us in the Solution Showcase, and thank you very, very much.